Howdy, hey everyone. Welcome to another day. Another day, another dollar. Which is, So how much I make on Twitch and YouTube combined? Maybe. I might make $1 a day. No. No, definitely not. I make $1.50 a day from Patreon. But YouTube and Twitch combined, I doubt it's $1. Alright. So we've done 3 tests over the past 2 live streams to see what is going to be the best adhesive to what we're doing here. So I used Gorilla Glue. This Gorilla Glue, which is just wood glue. Let's see, the first part. Then I used this original Gorilla Glue, or the second strip. And then I used foam board caulking, construction adhesive for this part. Now, one thing I did not like about this stuff is that it expands as it sets, and so it's squeezing out of a bunch of little cracks, which I don't think is a great look. So I have to go in and like chip or carve those pieces out. It'd be one thing if it kind of settled in like mortar, but it doesn't. It looks like great stuff. Like the ancient builders of this temple area had access to great stuff. And that is not the environmental storytelling I'm trying to tell here. Hey Kenzo, how you doing? Welcome. Yeah. It's a good thing these are ruins, and I want them to look all raggedy and broken up, because otherwise this would be not plausible. Yeah, so I mean, I went through and I purposely made the surface all chewed up so that I get these natural convolutions in the surface. You see that in really ancient floors, because the ground goes through freeze-thaw cycles and does heaving and just erosion. All these things happen that make it so that the tiles are gonna be going blind. Wish me luck, you guys. I mean, not visually blind, sonically blind. We're doing it live. Okay, so in this part, some of the caulking squeezed out. Let's get a good close look at this, shall we? Oh, look at this. Did not even set. That's interesting. Well, it didn't set there for some reason. Why do you suppose that happened? So it is set here. I mean, this, you know, if this was normal caulking, I'd be like, oh, it must be a weird reaction it's having with the foam. But, I mean, this stuff is specifically formulated for foam. So what would be retarding its setting up? Because it's 24 hours is the amount of time it says it's supposed to take, but it has been since Wednesday. So like 4 days. That should, 3-ish, 3.5. Hey, yeah, dude. Yeah, I hope to not go blind. that would make most of my future career plans really difficult. This is disappointing because I bought a whole bunch of this the Sculpting, which I could probably return. The stuff that I don't need. Yeah, I just didn't want to have to make another trip to the store if it turned out to be the stuff that I wanted to use. And so, what do we do? Well, let's see, okay, so the places where it did glue down, it looks like it's pretty firm. I wonder if it's a temperature thing? I mean, it wouldn't be the air that's retarding it. Look, here's a piece that was exposed to the air, and it seems to have hardened up. So something happened here. Something's happening here. Something not clear. Exactly 70s song. You feel me. So there's another, like, this was one of these kind of one-offs that I just, oh, look at that. That is bad news right there. If you can just pull it out without any scraping or tugging or hacking, that is bad news bears. Okay. Well then. Okay, so we're looking at the choice between the expensive Gorilla Glue that forms this awful foam that seeps up through the surface, or the white wood glue Gorilla Glue, which also seems to not be super great at its job. Let's do a little more poking. It might just be that I need to get it thick enough everywhere, and like in some areas it didn't quite get there. Yeah, dude, my weekend's going pretty good. I spent a lot of time yesterday doing video editing, book editing, Photoshop editing, so making progress on all fronts. This piece here is for a combination of photographing the Colossus and for the conventions that I'm going to be doing, trying to sell the book once it comes out. I want to have the coolest booth you've ever seen at a convention. I mean, okay, you can't count the big like like EA or PAX booths. Okay, you can't count those. But I mean, as far as like individual vendors, mine's going to be the coolest because it's going to look like I'm inside this like Shadow Colossus dungeon. Yeah, I mean, so most of these feel like they're on good. I think it was just kind of a coincidence that I happened to pop this part off. EA might charge you just to look at their booth, so mine will be better. Yes, my pledge to you right now today, I will never charge you to look at my booth. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm just going to wood glue the rest of this board. I want to see how fast it goes, and that will help inform. You know, I've been kind of pussyfooting around, as it were, doing all these little tests. But now that I feel fairly confident in the technique, both the technique of distributing the tiles so they look good, well, they look the way I want, which is actually bad. I want them to look bad, which is good. Yeah. What a time to be alive, indeed. Alright. Now I'm just trying to think through the physical distribution of where I'm going to be putting these things as I work. So one problem is I've got you know, a billion tiles here, and I don't know exactly. They're not quite stratified. Okay, but start off with this premise is that they were done throughout a month-and-a-half period, which means they are of varying quality. See, this was one of the very first ones that I did with just an X-Acto knife and a ballpoint pen, and it's just a very different look than the one that I did with the heat cutters that have a lot, you know, bigger kind of grout lines between them. So these ones I was going to save for like kind of the back corner where you're not going to see much going on. But there are kind of in-betweens too, and there's varying thicknesses, and sometimes the wire was a little out of calibration, so some of the lines aren't quite even, blah blah blah. Like you can see on here, this row of tiles, it's, you know, thinner than it is tall. They're not square. That's the point. And these ones are a little fatter than. So I want to make sure that I'm distributing the uneven ones throughout the even ones. That's a long way of saying that. So I'm just gonna kind of hand select to start to make sure I have a variety. If I just pulled them all off the top, I think I'd be getting all of the latest, bestest ones that I made, right? So. Alright, that should be enough. Hello, Aletha. How's it going? Thanks for visiting me today instead of your new favorite bestie, Yeah Dude Gamers, who just does dumb game streams instead of cool tiling streams. Such a jerk. Oh, speaking of jerks, I need to read out all my latest subs because I totally forgot last time, or I didn't get to it, and they have really built up. Kind of like this pile of things, tiles. Here we go. Oh boy, okay, I'm gonna have to try to speed read, which is gonna make these names triply hilarious. Okay. Almost all of these are YouTube. So we've got Sung Hyup Bak, Lord, Kevin Mulroy, Dipesh Patel, Niknu One, Johan Mahacha, Leonidas Nicolaitis, Lint Hatcher, Mark Keelier, Hermit, Tilda Wallstrom, Trevor Clark, Bijou Wanton, Robert McCarthy, Mitchell Miller, Angela Gould, Anna Zappa, something Greek, Elise Meadows, Robert Villazendante, oh boy, something completely Greek, Scrambles, User JMod, Trickstore, Roy Legit, Milkin, I'm not even gonna try, Richard Tamayo, Quinny, Da Yupa Crew, Gianni Munez, or Wani, Tushar Patel, Barbara Lanzarote, Jess Lynn. Okay, gotta take a breath. Deadlift Studios, Robin Kowalski, Jacob LaRue, Renee Chin, Dakishmente Ellen, Pression Segers, Natalie Brown, Emma Woes, B. Hopkins 1980, Daniel 0015, Rozham Mohammed, Renee Kostermans, JJ13 Torka, and let's see, MD or Mutter Rules, maybe? MDRRULEZ. And finally, Lucas Lucina. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Yep, I was speaking in tongues. I was exercising all the demons from the studio. It's been great. All that practice in revival services in my teen years has finally paid off. Okay, let's do glue. Here's glue. And Gorilla Glue. It's just wood glue, but it has a Gorilla brand on it. Oh, you don't stream on Sundays? Yeah, dude? Okay, so you just steal Aletha away from me on Wednesdays. That's good to know. So I think I'll kind of approach it. Actually, here's a nice cutoff. I'll just glue. It's always nice when refreshing just fixes a problem. Alright, so what I've been doing is just snapping these into random-ish pieces so as not to get the same tile height. See how thick this is compared to this? And so I want that difference to be distributed fairly evenly. Guessing if I mix in 3 different batches together, I'll get a pretty good variety. Pumpkin is having a hard day making French toast and won't share. Oh, wow. Rude. Yeah, I don't know if, yeah, dude, if there was a way to share streams so you can have, like, one going in a little sub-window or something, that could be interesting. An interesting feature. Twitch had that. Do, like, a buddy stream. Might get confusing for people, but who knows? So this is something I'm not happy about. When I tore this, the edges, you can see, get kind of ragged around the edge, which I have no problem with, except that it's just at a very kind of constricted position on there. So if you see that ragged and then it keeps going down, it doesn't look right to me. So I'm trying to think. Can I just like grind it down? I could use like a sanding block maybe. Let's see, I have my sanding block somewhere available. I have this rasp file. Seems to work pretty well. Not super excited about all the little particles it means I'm going to be breathing in. I suppose I could put on a mask. that also seems annoying in many ways. So here's what happens when you mix the different blocks together. You get this kind of, where are we? What are we at? See, I'm trying to continue a line that basically is going to follow all the way through this whole sheet. But since these are all slightly different proportions, having them broken up helps just to add a kind of jitter to them all, which I think brings them, or it makes it so that as I need to kind of push and pull these to get them to have that consistent line, it's visually more pleasing. Barla14 says, I just binge watched your playlist on molds, casting and painting, because I want to attempt to do that with all I've been sculpting since I first found you on YouTube. Afraid of breaking the originals, like what happened to yours with silicone molding. Yeah, that's always an issue. I think it's one of those things where just the more you practice, and it depends on the kind of piece you have. If it looks like there's no way not to break it, then I would like break it into, pre-break it and have a couple different pieces to mold. That way you can break it with deft skill and deliberation, as opposed to just whatever randomly happens. And you could put little connector pieces, like where you sculpt on. That's what I use epoxy sculpt for a lot, is those little joins where the two pieces come together. I'll be demoing some of that pretty soon, as I'm going to be, like, let me show you what I mean by those joins. Like, I'm going to be doing a video on molding Beaumark here, and his hair, pops off because there was no way to mold it without breaking the mold, if I wanted the hair to stick out like that. So it was a matter of, I sculpted him this way. I sculpted these parts on with Vaseline around the receptacle holes, and pressed it in, and just kind of went back and forth until it was a nice, firm, perfect fit. Now, see how perfect it is? Falls into the glue. By design, as designed. That's what I wanted to happen, was I wanted my sculpture to fall in glue. So everything's going great. I'm going to go wash this off in the sink. I'll be right back. Okay. Minor crisis averted. Anyway, you get the picture. It's a thing you can do if you're afraid of the fragility of your piece. Takes more time, obviously, so it's not, it's a trade-off, risk reward and all of that. Yeah, that whole, like, how to break things up, that has been a kind of an interesting subtopic within art for since at least the ancient Greeks were casting bronze statues. Yeah, I would love it if that wasn't just blowing this little toxic dust right into my face. downside to having all these guys piled up over here is that it kind of blinds me to the overall flow that I'm trying to keep going. So I think I shall stack these over here. People are, don't worry about it. That is part of art, is dropping things and breaking things and almost ruining things, and sometimes actually ruining things. This board is for the for my Colossus. I don't know if you've seen my any of the Shadow Colossus videos, but I'm sculpting you know, it's a 4-foot tall Colossus, and it's on a board about this size with tiles about like this, but they're all sculpted and cast in resin. And I want to do video and photography of it in, so we tried to do a photo shoot, me and some friends tried to do a photo shoot with it, and it's just so big and wide, like the arms go way out, so it's like the area needed was more than we could accommodate in this studio and like have a nice clean backdrop and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, hey, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. I can make a really cool backdrop for the Colossus so it kind of looks like the game environment that you actually see the Colossus in. And then I could use that same thing to make a really cool booth for conventions. So this part is the floor. I'm also going to be doing walls that will go behind it, and kind of a ceiling, because there's really cool, in the game there's the ceiling is collapsed, or partially collapsed, and so you got these really cool like light rays coming through. So I want to capture that for my video shoot. So we can use this to kind of track the lines across and make sure that it's fine if they deviate a bit as they go, but they shouldn't deviate to the point where it's a whole like, I ran into this on the original base where it was an entire tile or 2 different on one side than the other, and that made lining things up horrible. Yes, it is a colossal task, but absolutely everything about it has been. I spent 4.5 years, not every day, all day, but the project of building the Colossus stretched out over 4.5 years, so it's been quite epic. I'm not counting the time I'm spending on the photography background, because then that would stretch it into like, I don't know, 5.5 or 6 years? How long have I had the Colossus done? I think a little over a year. Oh wow, it's been a lot more than a year, because I started editing the videos and putting them out once a month, and I'm on episode 18. So it's been probably 2 years. When you get to be my age, you lose all sense of time. Like, I still feel like the Matrix movies came out relatively recently, which is silly because my youngest son was born the year The Matrix came out, 1999. But somehow, it's like once you're no longer a teenager, I don't know what it is, but like all of life compresses into like 2, you know, you had your maybe 3 sections. You had your childhood, your teen years, and then adult years. And adult years are just one category, no matter how old you get, apparently. Letha says, To Save Two Worlds got its 13th review this week. 5 stars! That's the most reviews I've had for any of my books. Congratulations! It's apparently one of those things where you just gotta make a crap ton of books and it just slowly snowballs. So congrats on putting in all that time and effort. That's a lot of gumption. It's a lot of grit. Although, I mean, I know you're kind of like me where it's not like you would stop doing it if people didn't pay attention. It's just what you do, right? So it's not like you really had a choice in the matter. You'd be writing books regardless. Most of my books have 1 or 2, but I don't worry about it. They are a pleasant surprise, though. Yeah, that's great. This is a reminder to everyone watching right now. If you have an author that you enjoy, please go to Amazon and review their book. Especially if they're an indie author, it makes a massive difference. Not to their ego, but to the algorithm that Amazon uses for recommending their book to other similar books. So if you want to support indie authors, the very best way you can do that is to review their book. It doesn't have to be a glowing review either. It can just, 3 or 4 stars. It's fine. I mean, if you hate their work, what's the point, I guess? But, if you just want to support them, just be like, hey, I read this book. It's all right. Not bad. Ideally, it's just all glowing praise, but although actually I heard recently that that's not ideal, that that can actually hurt if like all your reviews are 5 stars on your book. If you have like, I don't know, 5 reviews and they're all 5 stars, for whatever reason that hurts your ratings for the algorithm. I'm guessing that's their like attempt to avoid like botting or cheating the system, however that gets done. I wouldn't know. I'm not a cheater. I don't know how to cheat. Aletha says, it's what I do for sure, though people actually reading them is a big bonus. Yes, I agree. At some point, making art only for yourself can get a little disheartening. This is true. I forgot, I want to leave gaps here and there for the taller, more odd bricks. So that's a great place to leave a gap. Hi Demo Rose, welcome. How are things this fine? Let's see, it's gonna be evening for you? I think I'm getting too pedantic on shaving these sides down. I need to chill on that, or this will take me 20 times longer than it has any right to. $11 p.m. Very good, very good. Good time to settle in with a hot toddy and watch Josh Foreman lay down 1 million styrofoam tiles. I imagine that's what most people in England are doing right now. Yes, it is more or less a dungeon floor. You called it. Although it's a very special dungeon floor because it is being designed for my Colossus. He needs room to roam and to photograph him properly. He needs plenty of space in front of and around him. It's really hard to get good shots of the Colossus, I've found so far. Because you kind of have to get the camera pretty close unless you want to capture a lot of background accidentally, which means he kind of gets distorted and he just looks like off-kilter and out of proportion in a way in photographs that he does not look in person. And I think that's because the camera has to get so close to him. We'll see. It would really suck if he only looks good in person and can't look good in photographs, but you never know. That could end up being the case. If so, that will be a valuable lesson. Varla? What is VA? What does that stand for? I think it's probably safe to get some water, kind of tap down some of the places where the glue is blobbing. I think. Ooh, just had a better idea. What if Varla was saying it's perfect time for hot toddies and a bajillion dungeon tiles here in Virginia. Oh, okay, gotcha. West Virginia, something. Have you played that Fallout 76? Does it remind you of home? Okay, so this is Mod Podge that I've mixed black paint tint in to, and I feel like if the glue is blobbing up, I'm using this disposable brush. Since I'm going to be base coating everything with this mixture anyway, and rather than using water to tap down those blobbies, using this Mod Podge mix could be better. How big is my Colossus? Oh, it's big. Let's see, last time someone asked, I brought out the legs. Man, they're heavy. Let's see. I should just have it on standby. Okay, so here's my chair. Here's how big my butt is. Now let's look at Colossus. Ah! Okay, that's how big Colossus butt is. Yeah, so I built him in pieces for traveling purposes. Helps a lot. But yeah, so as he steps through the terrain, he smashes his footprints. He's like little cow footprints into the terrain. So this board that I built previously has some smashed footprints in it. You can see. That smashes the tiles up at different angles in cool ways. Yep. Actually, I think I'm going to move over here. Weighs a ton. Yeah, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see, like in the last episode, I rebuilt those legs out of solid steel, not solid steel, but a lot of steel, some solid steel. Thanks, Demo Rose. I think it looks gorgeous too. Yeah, so I've got an 18-part series so far. I still don't know how many parts it's going to end up being. This month, I'm on track to actually get out a different video on sculpting with not polymer clay. I already did that. Epoxy clay. Pooliex says, "Hi Josh, will the Crimson Assassin red SAB weapon skins require doing World 3 Tribulation mode to get, or will they still be time gated by SAB dailies?" Oh man, I'm not allowed to answer that kind of stuff. Also, good job trying to trick me into talking about World 3. You know what somebody once told me once? That World 3 was going to roll me, and that I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. But I'm sharp enough to know not to answer questions about World 3. You're just so excited for World 3 every year. I know, is that not one of the greatest tragedies in human history? If only the ratings would have been different, things would have been different. Turns out though, here's a little industry insider info for you. If the stuff you make doesn't make you money to pay your employees to keep making the game, it turns out you can't keep making that stuff. I don't know. I don't understand. You know, I'm not a math magician, but I think I can grasp that concept, as sad as it makes me. In an ideal world, people at game studios just make whatever they want, whenever they want, and everyone just gets money for free. But alas, we are not in Star Trek land yet. Don't know what's taken us so long. Where's my post-scarcity economy? Oh my god, look at the proportions on these. That is monstrous. In fact, you know what I'm gonna do? They just don't exist. Those tiles were never made. Shh, it's our little secret. That's right, now that you know that little industry insider secret, Aletha, I'm pretty sure the official video game industry hitman will be at your door any minute now. Be like, you heard the secret. Please sign this NDA. That's what they'll say. Video game hitmen are not actually as scary as you might think. That would be an amazing Hitman sequel. Hitman, the NDA deliverer. You just have to show up with paperwork and whine or complain until people sign it. Yeah, just be like, paperwork, just kill me. They'd be like, alright, well, legally, we are allowed to kill you, but you're going to have to fill out this other paperwork. What is going on here? Look at these lines. This is insanity. Let's see, so we've got this one going here. I need to move this out a little bit. What's going on here? No, don't want it to get in the glue. These tiles are just too awkwardly shaped. Wow, they're tearing in all the wrong places. Or maybe all the right places. That's fine. I think there's some broken tiles here and there. In fact, I want broken tiles here, there, and everywhere. Yes, Varla, I was definitely thinking of Brazil. The best movie about bureaucracy that exists. And the only good part of what movie was that? It was either the Valerian and the Planet of 1,000, or the City of 1,000 Planets, whatever, or it was Deviant Art the movie. What was that called? By the Wachowskis? The Cinderella story with the dog boy with wings. Anyway, in one of those, they have to go get all this paperwork filled out. Oh, it must have been the Wachowski one, because she's becoming queen and she has to sign for a bunch of stuff. Anyway, they go to the bureaucracy planet, of course, and the guy behind the desk was a guest appearance, was Terry Gilliam, director of Brazil, for those of you who don't know. And also for those of you who don't know, Brazil is a dystopic, dark comedy satire about a future dystopic world where pretty much all of society's ills are due to the bureaucratic nightmare that it became. Okay, I've got to remember the name of this movie now. What was it called? So Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets is gorgeous. The actors are awful in it. They just have zero chemistry. There's supposed to be this kind of love story angle to it that just falls completely flat. But man, it's got some really cool aliens, some great set pieces. If you just want to, you know, watch an hour and a half of great art, I mean visual art, not the art of cinema, I recommend it. If you want a great movie, I do not recommend it. So, what is that? Oh, something, Jupiter Ascending. Jupiter Ascending is the one I was thinking of that has the guest appearance by Terry Gilliam. And that also, exactly the same issue, like, premise is fine, the plot is contrived and silly, and the metaphors are overly obvious, and the chemistry between the characters is practically non-existent. The acting is fine, but the art, gorgeous. My former art director, who was the art director at ArenaNet, contributed a lot of concept work to it that pretty much went in like one-to-one. It was shocking how like directly they just made his concept art be a scene, like a cool space dock with a fish-shaped spaceships and stuff. Yeah, Jupiter Ascending. Check it out if you like pretty stuff. That's pretty brainless stuff. Or, like a lot of people, they can't tell when movies are bad. And in that case, hey, that's great. Congratulations. You get to enjoy so much more in life than people who feel like everything has to be good or they can't enjoy it. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. There are lots of things that I know are bad that I still definitely enjoy. And I won't apologize for that. It's good to enjoy things. Because, you know, most things, someone worked really hard on it and spent a lot of time and thought and effort and passion on it. So even if it turned out bad, still, if you enjoy that thing that's bad, great. You got a symbiotic relationship with a creator. Oh, I didn't say he was my friend. I said he was my former art director. He almost killed Super Adventure Box. Super Adventure Box was within a hair's breadth of getting canceled after we had finished it and before it shipped, because Daniel did not realize that it was, he thought it was an April Fool's Day prank, which it was, which historically just was a day. Like one day you go into Guild Wars and your character's a stick figure, or you know, your arms are stuck out, whatever. There's just like random April Fool's pranks that every MMO does. And so he just didn't pay it much attention, and he found out late in the process that it was like this whole mini game that people would be doing for a month. And so he, you know, at that point he was like, all right, fine, I don't like it, but whatever, like it's gone too far. But our CEO talked to him about it, and the CEO has a very sensible position, which is that, hey, if our art director thinks something is ugly, we probably shouldn't ship it. So so that's where, like, suddenly 2 or 3 days before we were going to launch, you know, we had a bunch of meetings, and it was like, sorry, this is not going to happen after all. Yeah, he doesn't understand retrographic art. Like he didn't grow up with it. He grew up in Romania in like the 40s and 50s. So he did not see any of the charm in the like purposeful ugliness of it. He just thought it was ugly, which yeah, 8-bit graphics are ugly. So that was kind of the point. Like, delightfully cute ugly is the way people who have nostalgia for it interpret it. SAB isn't ugly, it's beautiful and fantastic. Glad it went through anyway. Yeah, me too. That was so stressful. That like day and a half where it was almost, I was like on the verge of, I was like, I'm so upset right now, I think I might actually quit. We worked so hard on this thing. It's so fun and so cute. And I cannot believe that it would not ship because of this little snafu that happened. But yeah, those kind of behind the scenes things happen in entertainment all the time. That's why so many movies get canceled and games get shut down. You know, from the outside, you have no idea why. And there's so many reasons things can get killed randomly like that. And it's not like, it's not because there's some evil, greedy businessman, you know, tapping his fingers together. It's usually because of misunderstandings, miscommunications, over promising on the part of the actual like on the ground developers, and then like, and it's not because they're trying to be sneaky. It's because this is just a thing that human brains do. It's a fallacy called the planning fallacy, where and all humans are subject to this to some degree or another. You just, when you think through the stuff that's going to be necessary to make a thing happen, whatever it is about our brain, like, shortcuts so much of it that our estimates are really bad. They're always really, really, really bad. And if you add to that, it's something you really want to have done, like that really doubles down on that fallacy / bias, cognitive bias that human brains have. Somehow this row, can you guys see that? Yeah, this row got really out of whack. And I don't know why. Like, it's fine if it goes out of whack for, I don't know, like 5 or 6 tiles, but by the time it's got to like 8 or 9, that's setting a new kind of saying, hey, this is the new line, which that's what I'm trying to avoid. Demo Bros says, rule in 1, estimates are always wrong. Yes, indeed. So, in order to correct this line that keeps drifting, looks like I'm going to need to just like rearrange some of these guys here. Okay, I'm going to look for ones that are a little bit squashed. So these ones are just slightly squashed. It's like perfect fit for my needs. No, apparently not. Not even that much squashedness is enough. Yeah, Demo Rose. All developers, I think, acknowledge that fact, that we have that, cognitive bias / fallacy. Yeah, doesn't mean it stops us from constantly screwing up based on it, though. I did not know you were a developer. What do you develop, Demo Rose? Or maybe you had told me in the past. I've managed to forget. I'm pretty good at that. Alright, should I just plunge right into the next row? I guess I should. Let's see if I'm faster at it this time. What I should do is put these See, I need a little area that's spread out enough where I can have different pieces that I'm mucking around with. Maybe now there's enough room on this side. Make a web application. Currently an application to calculate the environmental impact of hotels. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I spent way too many time and hours trying to make just a basic WordPress website. Ended up paying a friend. Well, it's the reason that it was so troublesome was I've never had a budget for it per se, and I'm not technical enough to be able to do any of the actual. It's not even programming, but whatever it's called, where you actually tell the web page what to do. Me, just dumb artist. So I've had 4 or 5 friends throughout the past 10 years or so volunteer to help me to some degree or another, and everyone kind of approached it differently, and so it was just a huge jumbled mess by the time this latest person jumped on that grenade, and I ended up paying them probably thousands of dollars to do what pretty much any moron should be able to do. But it's like one of those things where for this one to do it, it would take probably months of practice. You going for a walk?
Yeah, to the trail towards walk.
Okay.
Did you need to do anything like make an older road, like total cleaning and stuff?
I don't think so.
Okay, bye.
See ya. And the website is still kind of a mess, to be honest. But it's not the developer's fault. It's like all the things that I was wanting to do with it, which is just too much stuff. I wanted it to be like this future-proof repository for everything that Breath of Life development would ever do. And yeah, that's dumb. I should have focused on just making it really good and clean and easy and intuitive for the things that I'm currently doing. But you live and you learn. Alright, I'm starting to build up heuristics in my head for how to do this quickly. And so one thing I'm learning is, hey, just pull from a different piece. You know, I've got this stack over here. Pull from a different piece every time or so. When I put down a piece, try not to have it continue one long line like this. Just set it off so that everything stays a little off kilter. You know, rotate them regularly. You know, if this went there, then I've got a long area here, which I don't want. So do that so that it stays jaggedy. So if I put it this way, I get a long line here. If I put it this way, I get a long line there. So then the rule is, okay, don't use that size or shape of thing. Break it up. Wow, so somewhere along the line, these lines going this way got really out of sync. Yeah, it must just have to do with, like, how I, you know, slowly changed my technique as I was carving these pieces. And I was hoping that the tolerance would be enough that by keeping them all jumbled up, this sort of thing wouldn't happen, but it sure did. So I think this is a pretty good way to gap fill in areas where I need to move stuff around and a regular set of bricks won't fit it. So crunch, there you go. Got some just battle damage. Someone dropped a chandelier there or something. You know, these things happen. Maybe the workers got drunk that one day. Yeah, that's what happened here. They were putting these tiles down and they were like, should we put the tiles down carefully or should we just smash them on the ground? Naturally, they decided on the smashing. Okay, so here's something this area here, because it's so perturbed, I do not expect all these tiles to be pristine in good shape. So I want to break some up. Now, because I have several of these like very awkwardly shaped older pieces, you know, that are I don't really want to lay down because they're so awkwardly shaped, these are perfect things to break up and turn into my shattered bits. And since they will kind of since they need to be in this jumbled mess but still stick together, I might as well pre-coat them in the Mod Podge coating that they're going to end up getting anyway, so that will help them glue and stick together. Although right now, static electricity is making them only stick to my fingers. Then you can use a pinch of pepper, and by pepper I mean Dashington, which is just this kind of black decorative sand. So I don't want the glue to dry in super big globs, right? It's just not going to look natural. I want as many sharp, crisp edges in there as possible, which is why going in and like hand painting all the edges is definitely gives a good result. I'm experimenting with this to see if the amount of time it takes to do this kind of work is actually necessary. I do not know if it is or not. Try to get as much of the excess out of here as possible. Good night, Demo Rose. Thanks for stopping by. Actually, I guess what I could do is get all my little chunks out of there. So now I've got a thinner skim of the paint on there, and then I'm just gonna spread these out so that most of the, or hopefully the excess glue is removed. Sprinkle one more sand. And go back in. Throw my little clumps back. luscious lady clumps. There we go. Is that everything? Oh, missed. So now hopefully, because this is all glue paint, the bits will stick together really well. Piece is still messy. Okay, now I'm seeing that as I'm trying to move some of these stuff I put down earlier, it's starting to set up, which I would like to have a weight on there so that as it's setting up, it's conforming well to the surface underneath. So I'm going to set some of my rock weights on it. Now the downside to that is that then it'll be harder to track the lines going across, won't it? Yes, it will. I wonder how important the weight is if we're getting a hard bond, or if the weight is just because typically with wood glue you're gluing wood pieces together, and it's more important for that, for this foam just to stick to other foam. It's not supporting anything. It's not like it's a chair or a table, so it might not even be important to have this weight on there. Or at least I'm thinking it's more important to be able to follow the lines than it is to have them weighed down. We'll see. If I come back tomorrow and these things are just like flaking off, then I'll know they need weight. But currently I do not know that. It's been going almost 2 hours, so this is definitely going slower than I hoped, as always. I'll be curious when I get a fresh board if I can beat this time. I imagine it depends on how many of these kind of problems I run into with keeping the lines going properly. Letha says, I'm slowly packing up stuff and I keep finding random skulls and knives laying around. Mostly throwing knives. I don't recall having an assassin roommate, but I guess they wouldn't necessarily have told me. Wow. That sounds exciting. I feel like that's a premise for a television show or two. What's the music in the background? I do not know. I do not know because my headset ran out of batteries. Let's see if it's working now. Well, the stuff that's playing right now is some kind of, I think like knockoff Western music. I don't know if that's what you were asking. Like I downloaded a bunch of stuff from YouTube that was like copyright free stuff, and a lot of it is sound-alike stuff. Specifically, you know, oh, you want to get the tone or mood of this particular thing, use this music. Yeah, I love Stranger Things, but you know, it's pretty much a show custom made for me because I was exactly the age of those kids in those actual years. So I grew up with all the things that it's trying to make you nostalgic for. So I don't think I'm the best judge of whether it's actually good or not. I just know I enjoy it quite a bit. Some of these, like, funky, irregular ones, I think are really cool. They just can't go in the row where they all, you know, where a line goes all the way across like that, because that's not how rocks work. They would be from individual rocks, and so as long as I split them up and rotate them around, I think they're really cool to have as accents. Hey, T. Baggins says, no kidding, those are some nice tiles. They snap like a chocolate bar too. Amazing. How did you make them? I used a cutter divisor thing. That guy right over there. See the what? Okay, there we go. Yeah, there's a little wire there. It's a hot wire, and you press it against there, and then move it 3/4 of an inch, and you do that over and over and over, literally thousands of times, till you make these billions of tiles that I made. So I got a lot of surface to cover, boy. T-Baggin says, I got one too, but they're so nearly done. I assume you used a jig of some sort. Oh, hi Sigrid. There you are. Hi, Sigrid. Kind of a jig. It's pretty easy. I can just show you real quick. It's and I'm always so tempted to grab this thing by here, and you should not do that. Do not grab it by there. Right, so I built this box, and underneath this white thing, I have two metal strips that match up so that when I pressed it in, I would just press, move it over, and every time I would move it over, it would fit into the little slot. So yeah, it's kind of a jig. It's a janky jig. Probably would be my rap name if I rapped. Janky jig coming at ya. Letha, you found a Star Wars Monopoly game while cleaning out the closet? I think we literally just gave one of those away, or I tried. No one wanted it. I put it on the free table at work. T-Baggin says, something similar happened to me a month ago. I went cushion diving when I cleaned my sofa, and I found my missing 3DS after it disappeared years ago. I feel like I have 2 or 3 3DSs floating around my house somewhere. I think the last game I played on it was Zelda Between Worlds, which was excellent. Haven't touched it since. I mean, the Switch is just so darn good. But on top of that, I haven't really let myself play games until I get my book published, so it doesn't make a difference one way or another to me. Varla says, setting up our telescope to watch the lunar eclipse tonight. Where's the lunar eclipse? What part of the world are you in? Virginia, that's right. Cool. Were you in the... I think Virginia was a bit too north. You weren't in the total eclipse of the sun path from a year or so ago, were you? I went down to the Oregon coast to see that. Alright, well, it looks like mission accomplished. I got this whole board covered. Took me 3 hours, and I started with probably a fifth of it already done, maybe even a quarter. So, but I do think I learned a lot about how to do it quicker in the future, hopefully. Hopefully, because I still have some massive pieces I gotta cover. 3 feet by 6 feet, one of them, and another one is, I want to say 6 feet by 2 feet? I don't know. We'll see. Probably won't stream those, because that would get pretty boring for everyone. Not that this was a thrill a minute, but was at least learning stuff. Alright, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna gently set some of my weights on here. I don't want to mess up, like, I feel like these still slide around a little bit, so it could be easy to potentially kind of knock them out of alignment. But we'll see. We'll check it next time and see where we're at. So thanks everyone for joining me again. Thanks for the good convo. It's always better talking than not talking, you know? Okay, I just posted on social media, all my social medias, except for Instagram, I guess, because Instagram is dumb. And also on my Patreon page, I put a side-by-side comparison of the sketches, like the drawn illustrations I do, and a CG, you know, sculpted in ZBrush and then rendered out and then futzed around in Photoshop with, side by side. And I would love anyone's opinion on if you feel like those two arts could coexist together in the same book and not seem like weird or done by other artists or whatever. So give me some feedback on that. I'd appreciate it. All right, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday, if not sooner. Bye, everyone.